Greetings, family. This is your brother Asar Imhotep, and we have another wonderful interview for you this afternoon. We have a special guest with us, Brother Bayemy Biyick, out of Cameroon, who has been doing some very important research with a particular group of Africans that seem to have made their way towards the area of Japan and Korea. And he has spent a number of years researching what exactly has been going on in this area and its relationships to African people in general. And I had an opportunity to kind of preview a little of his research. I haven't read it all, but it seems very compelling and detailed. And this is what we're going to discuss today. And I don't know if I'm pronouncing this correctly, the PAEKCHE people out in who were, I guess, defeated in like a 10-year long battle in or by the Chinese, or who would become the Chinese. And just some very interesting history here. And we hope to get in depth with it. And so our brother has joined us all the way from Paris. He's in Paris right now. So in the United States, we would call this a long distance call. So I appreciate our brother for taking the time to, sit down and interview with us, and for sharing his knowledge and research. He has a publication out about his work, and so we'll get into that as well, where you can learn more about the details of exactly what he's doing. And so I'm going to unmute his mic and introduce y'all, my audience, to it's not letting me unmute it, but you can unmute it, Brother Bayemy. And the way that you do that, take your mouse and you see your little icon, your little tab at the bottom. There's going to be a little down arrow on it, and you just click on it, and then look where it says muted, and just click on there and unmute yourself. I don't know why it's not letting me unmute you. Do you see it? Let me type in the chat on the right-hand side. Look at your we'll do this. Okay, take your mouse and just kind of move it towards the top center of your screen. And you're going to see a few icons pop up. And one's going to look like a microphone. And it should say mute microphone or unmute microphone. So if you see it, and you can hit that icon. Seems we're having a little technical difficulties. Google Hangout, we need to have a conversation. If all else fails, Hangout. You don't see the icon at the top? Move your mouse towards the top. You should see some icons. And for the listeners, this is his first time using the Hangout. So okay, let's do this. Hopefully this will work. I want you to go back to the email that I sent you, and I'm gonna hang you up here. Then I want you to click that link again so it can bring you back. All right. So we're gonna hang you up right now, and then you click that link again and then come back in. All right. All right. So while he's doing that, I will just blabber about nothing until he comes back. So again, I want to welcome you. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties. There he is, and now we can hear.
Yeah, the Windows is the right it is the right window now because it's quite different.
All righty. Well, sorry, apologize for the technical difficulties.
No, you're doing very well.
All right. So again, this is Brother Bayemy Biyick, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. You know, welcome to this program.
Thank you.
And for again sharing your time with us, all the way out there across the waters in Paris. So for those who may not know of you, can you just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from originally, and lead up to how you came to this research that we're talking about today?
Yeah. As you said, my name is Bayemy. Let's say we're gonna use it as my first name, right? Bayemy, Bayemy, right? I was born in Cameroon, Africa, and I grew up there until I was 16, 17, when I went to France for my studies, the last year before university. And I was graduated there in Sorbonne University in economics and business business management. And later I worked in, advertising agencies and banking services. And I came across a community of Korean students at that time. They were traveling in Europe. And in that group of people, I met a student, a lady who became my girlfriend and fiancée later. And thanks to her, I could get into the Korean community. But we could understand each other so easily because I was already interested in Asian culture, let's say, and specifically that northeast Asian region, comprising China, Japan, and both South and North Korea. And I became accustomed to their culture, everyday life culture, and little by little, I wanted to write something about that culture the way I was experiencing it, not in a different way, in different terms. We could discover in essays or in the movies or in any reports on TV, because it seems to me that Korea is very different from what they usually say, even Korean people themselves. So I started this project a project of writing down a novel series, because literature seems to be the best way to tell about the Korean culture. But I couldn't make it. It was really hard for me to use the material, the information, official information, I mean, because there was something strange. There was something wrong. It was hard for me to figure out at that time. or to understand what was wrong, but it doesn't match. The official history didn't match what the Korean people are in the reality. In the reality I was experiencing. In the official history, for example, they say that they have invented a writing system, for example.
Hmm.
They portray their ancestors are great, like a great people, but
Hmm.
I don't see anything like that in what they do. I see no proof, no clue, nothing. So I say this is really strange. This history seems to me like a painting.
Hmm.
So if I have this conviction, there must be something true in what I feel. So I decided uh, whether to, I had to take a decision whether to stop this project or to make it, to restart it
Hmm.
by researching by myself. And this is what I did.
All right.
So,
So
so I stopped.
basically, I'm sorry to cut you off.
Yeah, sorry.
So basically, through a personal relationship with the young woman, you became interested in Korean culture, just Asian culture in general. But you had access to Korean culture and people.
Thank you.
And when you started researching more into the history, there was some discrepancies in what was being told as the official history
Yes.
and what was, you know, the information on the ground as you were experiencing it. And so
Yeah.
this, led you to doing some independent research and ultimately, and we'll get into the details, we'll come back to the details. Ultimately, what did you discover as a result of your independent research?
Ultimately, I came to find out that I was right to wonder about everything,
All right.
because everything is a fake. Everything is a kind of illusion. It's a, it's a, how, okay, I have my dictionary. Sorry, this is my first interview in English,
All right, no problem.
and and my English is from high school and university. So sorry, sorry for not being so fluent. Let's say, bravo. Okay, I have.
I would do the same thing in French.
Or
So,
oh, screen. Okay, oh, screen. That's the word,
okay.
screen.
All right.
The official Asian history nowadays in 2017 is a screen.
Hmm.
It was built especially from Chinese ancient text to cover what happened, let's say, the last 150 years at least. At least.
Uh,
So what they try to cover is the the genocide, the mass murder of the original Asian people, the real Asian people, not these white people, but the Asian people who were our ancestors, the black people who founded and developed the Asian civilization, what we call today the Asian civilizations. What we call Asian civilizations here is the institutions, meaning whatever is religious,
uh-huh.
the political uh, basis, um, the administrative traditions, everything is from black people. Those realm and principalities, how do you say principalities?
Yes.
Very small, yes, developed all those systems and institutions. And those institutions, when they were killed, were taken back by Chinese people and synicized. Synicized, yes, synicized. Today, we call other Chinese. There's Chinese people themselves can hardly demonstrate, or they can hardly explain how they came to have this culture they call Chinese culture. I never see any book explaining how they made it. Everyone just accept that this is Chinese, this is Korean, but there's no explanation. And these people, they came as far as Japan. let's say the Paekche people, they founded the Paekche kingdom, and these are the same people who also founded Japan. Today's Japan. Today's Japan is based on Kudara, who was the kingdom that they founded, the institution, religious institutions, and whatever uh, Japan today is based on. So Japan today is directly and with no doubt the how do you say the hair of that kingdom founded by the black people of African culture. This is very important. We are not, when I say black people, it's not only about the skin color, because we black people in Africa, especially, we don't have this idea to distinguish people from the skin color. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, but nowadays the skin color is a big issue, so we are obliged to talk about the skin color. But those black people in Asia, they are black people, but they are from their culture is African culture. How can I say that? Because you notice in my research that I never mentioned any Asian language. There is not neither Japanese nor Korean or nor Chinese, right? I don't need, because during my research, what helped my research to reach such a higher level of accuracy, let's say, is that I found messages everywhere and especially in Japanese ancient text, because this disappearing word, let's say our last ancestor of that disappearing words, they understood that they are disappearing. They understood that now our words is disappearing. We have to do something. So we have to left a message for the survivors, and hopefully someday someone gonna come where our messages are. He or she gonna spend enough time to understand what we want them to learn or to remember, and hopefully they will have enough energy and power again to, let's say, to revival. Do you say revival? To
To
revive
revive, yes,
to
revive.
revive to revive our civilization. So those
Almost in the same way, one we suspect with ancient Kemet or ancient Egypt,
yes,
where they wrote all of these messages, and not understanding that their civilization would not be what it was, but the Africans are now on a project to restore the memory
yes.
of these ancient Kemetic people. But I'm sorry, continue.
No, you didn't interrupt me. So don't be sorry. Yeah, so this is what helped me to to get the most important, the message, and this is the 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 most thrilling and important in my research. So you see that I use those messages to make the demonstration, the scientific demonstration, that here in this territory that we call South Korea today, there was a black, um, uh, there was a civilization of how do you say it? Created by black people of African culture, because I could decipher it. That's why it's African. I never use anything. I mean, everything is explained in the article. I never need any reference to Japanese. I speak a very little Japanese. My Korean is the normal Korean, because I stopped learning it because it was useless for me to learn much more. As soon as I could understand that nothing here is from Korean people, there's something else. You see, I know nothing in Chinese. I know some characters, because I see those characters all the time. So eventually I came to know some Chinese, but don't ask me to teach you Chinese. I know nothing about it. So, yeah, so the messages there in South Korea, what we call South Korea today, the messages are there. We are black people. We made this country we were genocide. You said we were killed, we were murdered, and this is the proof. And after that, our let's say the survivors went to Japan to secure themselves uh, by their brothers, because that that kingdom was the whole South Korea, today's South Korea, plus the west of Japan. This is the one kingdom, one kingdom. But in the official history, they say it was two kingdoms, even enemies. So they rewrote the history. So we are 100% sure, or let's say 99.99999%. Yeah. So this is history, but for us today in 2007, what does it mean? It means that we eventually know the nature, the true nature, and the origin of this uh, very serious conflict we have between Japan and China, because the destruction of Kudara, what they call PAEKCHE in the official history of Korea. Yeah, but the Japanese, they call that kingdom Kudara. Kudara meaning the country of black people. But in the research papers, they never translated the country of black people. They always say just Kudara, but they never talk about black people. You see, so this this oh yeah. So the destruction of Kudara is the origin of this mistrust or conflict between China and Japan, because Japan, today's Japan, the hair. I mean, Kudara is their ancestors. These black people.
Uh-huh.
It was a country. It was a country of black and white people. Let's say,
Mhm.
but all of them were from the same culture, same African culture. They share it. So for them, I mean, I think that this idea of black and white would have not mean anything. You see.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the black people were killed. Why? Because I suspect that the Chinese government, the Chinese, the Tang, it was the Tang dynasty, the uh, dynasty, and the previous dynasty was the Sui dynasty. They were continuing, and this is my theory, because when some empire is killing people and especially selecting the kind of kingdom to destroy, I have to figure out, and I have to find out what is I mean, the main idea in this policy. Is it only about war for resources, or did they have another plan? And they had another plan. It was not only for the space and resources, or the other idea of the Chinese dynasty were to suppress the presence of the black people and culture in Asia. So the building of Chinese empire uh, is how do you say, uh, is depends, let's say, depends on the disappearing of these black people. So they had to kill and suppress all those people to build this country we have in the 21st century as we know it. This is the idea. Yeah.
I mentioned to you previously before this discussion here that I've been meaning to do. I just haven't had the time because of other research that I'm doing. Um, the possibility of Africans in a more historic period traveling from Africa to Asia as far as Japan. And my first and only clue was with this notion of the shogun, the Japanese military leader. And what gave me the clue is that in the Yoruba language of West Africa, there is a word ashegun that has to deal with vanquishing and things of this nature. And so I'm gonna share my screen real quick. I'm gonna share my entire screen, and so
Oh,
hopefully
okay.
you can see. Let me know if you can see the screen.
Yes, yes, I can see it. Yeah. Oh,
Okay.
good.
So this is from an article I wrote. I was going to do a whole book on Kemet and the god Ogun, but
Yes.
I scratched the book for some methodological reasons. But there was a lot of the information that was sound that ended up in other material, and
Yeah.
so some of that material I put in this one article here called "The African Origin of the Word Nike." And so the word Nike is a word meaning victorious in the
Yeah.
Greek language. And so you may be familiar with the shoe brand Nike, like,
Yes, yes, yes.
Air
I
Jordan.
know that. Yeah, I know her.
Okay. So what I argued is that that's an African word and you can find it in ancient Kemet. And so, but there's a section in here where I talk about, the root of it being goon. And so we see here, I don't know if this is, let me put it up a little more in terms of the zoom.
Yes.
Get rid of these thumbnails. Uh, let me zoom in just a little bit more.
Yeah, I could find. I
Wanna-
yeah.
I'm thinking of the audience too, so if they can
Oh, oh
just
yeah. Oh, yes, yes.
okay, so the word shogun, according to the literature, is a contraction said shogun, which literally means a commander of a force.
Yes.
And so it's a military rank and historical title for a hereditary military dictator of Japan.
Yes.
Say could mean correct location, correct position, sincere, true heart, correct meaning, and good faith.
Yes.
And then Taiso means general or false leader, and means army, force, or troops. And I compare it to Egyptian Kiniyit, the Braves, an elite military corps. And the root kin means brave man, elite soldier,
Yes.
or hero. And so, and I said that Ogun is a warrior in the deity Ogun in the Yoruba language and culture, and sounds like shogun. This one word is Ashegun, conqueror, vanquisher, victor. This root Segun, the root for Segun is also similar to the Seg in Proto-Indo-European for conquer and victory.
Mm-hmm.
Now you have all Ogun and Gun in the Yoruba language, meaning war or fight or battle, and for here, for instance, this one Ashagun, a rebel, a revolter, Balogun, a war chief, which is Kim Wer in the ancient Egyptian.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But what's interesting is, let me go to another document. What I discovered as well is that, let me zoom in just a little bit. Let me zoom out a little bit. Okay. So it's this word for gold in Japanese. So it's Ogun. And just to back up a little bit, Ogun is the personification of metallurgy and weapons and war, and just any kind of metallurgical, profession and technology and stuff like that in the Yoruba language. And so the word for gold is also known as kogani or kin in Japanese. And other ways to say metal in general is kane or ikigomi. And so if you look in the Egyptian language, for example, you have the word gin for copper objects, or ginu, metal pots or vases. And this is the same roots that give you Ogun, you know what I'm saying, for metal in the Yoruba language. So for
Yeah.
this belt, you see this Ogun because it's the same, you know, there's different layers to how this root for Ogun, which actually is a word for fire, came
Yeah.
to mean war on one hand and fighting, and then of course metallurgy and then weapons on another, and then different meanings from there. And
Yeah.
so from and I go into more detail where you can see this word all over Africa. Like this is, and what's unique is, for example, on my last trip to Egypt,
Yes.
one of the peoples there showed us some actual carvings of East Asian people in Kemet during the New Kingdom period. And
You see.
so it's you know, we're seeing that, you know, there was some travel back and forth between East Asia and ancient Kemet, which will probably explain, and I want to get your take on this, the type structures.